Good morning, Internet. Hello, old friend. I can't really see myself in the reflection because of the light, but I trust that you can see me and I trust that you're well. I woke up with stress, migraine pain this morning, which is most definitely a reflection of life and current life situation. But I'm not here to complain. I'm here to share, I'm here to elevate the collective, I'm here to stand up. Something that I was never taught, which I will definitely always teach my kid, is you always stand up to bullies. And that doesn't mean physically, violently. But one thing I will teach him, if someone hits you, you hit them back harder. Within the remit of sticking to the Ten Commandments, being a good person, not lying, never using dishonesty. Yeah, it's important that. I definitely see that this huge fake push for toxic masculinity and the fake misogyny thing, it's bonkers. Well, it's not bonkers actually, it's very clever. But it's not that clever that it gets everyone. Some people can see through it. I'm yet to find anyone that shares the candid and thoughtful and elusive thinking that God has entrusted upon me. And when I say that, it's free will is an interesting topic, because how much free will do we have? As humans, we believe that we have free will. Where are these words coming from that I'm speaking? What drives my actions? Creativity, spontaneity. Where does that come from? Thought, where does that come from? I'm pausing now because I want you to think about what I just said. And I'm going to light a cigarette. Honestly, I beat myself up for this so much, and the cokes and the chocolate, but I have to keep going. Where does thought come from? Where are these words I'm speaking? Where are they coming from? If I have a creative idea, if I have any idea, where does that come from? God. It comes from God. That's why no one is more important than anyone else in society. In the world, no one is more important than anybody else. Because we're all coming from God. We're all creator source. We're all God. The way that I see it is that the world is like, the universe is like an ever expanding the boundaries of time and space are ever expanding. We're in this snow globe and everything is connected, and within that snow globe we're all God. Everything's God. Everything's the universe. We're all connected, and no one's more important than anybody else. Because it's all God source, it's all God created. Excuse me, itself, himself, itself, whatever you want to call it. It's like a snow globe, and the snowman and the water. The water connects everything. That's like the universe. We're all connected. So that's why Cristiano Ronaldo, for example, is no more important than the guy that puts your bins out. Because it's all the same thing. That's why he's no more important than anybody else, despite what you may think. That's why humility is so important. That's why sportsmen who are of faith, who are men and women of faith, a lot of them thank I thank my Lord and Saviour Jesus Christ, is what a lot of them say. Because if you work that all back, it's because the only reason that we're doing any of these things, the only reason I'm moving my arm like that, is because God is moving my arm. God is giving me the words. God is giving me the thoughts. God is. But yeah, woke up with migraine pain today, which is certainly a positive increase from the time that I woke up with a panic attack. I didn't even know that was possible. Yeah, I've realised this week that I've been so disappointed that, and I think this is a story of a lot of young, I don't know whether it's predominantly young men or any girl or boy who doesn't have a system of support as when they're younger. And they sort of go off the rails. But someone going off the rails is a reaction to the situation that they find themselves in. Sorry. Think of a cigarette. Yeah, if everyone walked past, every time you walk past, if you can see a bin and you see a piece of litter, and you're walking towards it, and you're gonna walk past a bin, pick a piece of litter up and put it in the bin. Do it. Because if everybody did it, everything would be better, and that's a good analogy for wider life. Yeah, just I don't really know what else to say this morning. The sun's shining, the blackberries are out, although I left it too late to pick them. They've gone a bit overripe. I'm so frustrated about that. I like picking the wild blackberries and eating them, and I purposely this year waited for them to be a little bit bigger, because last year I went too early and this year I went too late. I picked loads of them and they were not very nice. Well, yeah, I find myself in a position where I have this story, and I told the only person I've really told about it, outside the people that are sort of creating it for me, was my neighbour, and she started crying. And she only knew the most recent bit, because I haven't shared it, because in the Bible it talks about not having a froward mouth. And I asked the priest about this, friend Peter Morgan, hello Peter, put me in touch with his pastor, I think you call it. And I had a chat with him, and when I was reading the Bible a lot at that time, because I found solace in the Bible, and I find that when times are really, really challenging, the only thing you can really lean on is faith that it will get better. So when I found out about my abuse, I went very much the hermit. I sort of took myself away from the world and tried to heal, and the Bible saved my life. Really, really did. And I don't actually believe in picking sides in that sense, because there's a huge difference between faith and organized religion. So I haven't shared any. I don't gossip. I find when I catch up with old school friends, I often talk about people that we went to school with, and it always feels a little bit uncomfortable. But at the same time, it's like it's nice to reminisce, and I suppose in that sense, I feel more comfortable to talk about the people that I'm still in touch with to a certain extent and what people are up to and stuff. But I don't gossip, because in the Bible it says about having a froward mouth, and that's a form of spell work, that's a form of witchcraft. And I've seen this in my life on a number of occasions now, where people can use words to twist narratives to hurt other people. I've lost a lot of people to actually manipulative women. I know there is obviously manipulative men as well. I just think women have the ability to center in on emotion, which creates a form of manipulation that the majority of men don't have access to. Men can be abusive in a sense of bully, physical intimidation, bully, as women can as well. But women have an edge to them where, because they understand emotion in a more deeper felt sense, that gives them triggers and hooks, and they're able to twist narratives, which I've lost very, very, very close people. They're the closest people. A lot of heartache caused by twisting a narrative. So I've seen firsthand the negative consequences of it, and then I don't want to do that to other people, as well as it being, in inverted commas, wrong. And I understand that when you do wrong, you get it back. That's what this is. It's karma. It's all balance. So you get out what you put in. So yeah, it's very, very deep for 8:30 on a whatever day it is, Wednesday morning. But I've just lost the ability to engage in anything that doesn't have meaning. So I wonder if God's going to give me any more wise words before I check out today of the video rather than life. But yeah, the situation in the UK feels a tipping point almost, doesn't it? It's got to be orchestrated. It almost feels like the UK is the new Australia. Do you remember when England basically put all of their criminals, they sent them over to Australia, didn't they? Kind of feels like that's what the UK is being used for. Like a shifting of populations. Because the Middle East have basically got all the money, because they've got all the oil. And it appears as a shifting of the guard in terms of who has control of the world. And the families that did have power for the last however couple of 100 years are being replaced. Just follow the money. Follow the money. Who owns the companies? Who owns? And then you'd go all the way up the ladder, and it all comes back to the same. It appears to come back to the same group of people. And typically in the West, it always is Jewish people. But I don't think that saying that Jewish people are the problem is the right thing. I know there's like a trend, it seems, a narrative that seems to be finding its feet a little, which is in regards to the globalist elite, which would in this case be a number of Jewish families. But it's not the Jewish people that's the problem as I see it. I might be ignorant, but I don't think that labelling a human being as the problem, a group of human beings as the problem, is the cure-all for the issue, because not all Jewish people are bad. I've not read into Judaism, so I haven't made my own mind up with like Christianity and Islam as I have more, whereby Islam's not the problem in the world. It's bad actors. It's only good against bad. When you drill everything back and you reverse engineer everything, it only ever comes back to good against bad. So saying that the Jews, for example, are the problem, I would think would be misguided and probably quite dangerous. Even if they have manipulated media and they have, created this vacuum for themselves, but it's not. I don't see it as the Jewish people. The Jews are the problem, because there's obviously loads of really nice Jewish people. Like there's loads of really good Islamic people, Muslims. There's loads of good Christians. There's also loads of bad Christians. There's also a load of bad Muslims. There's also a load of bad. So it's not actually the organised religion that's the issue, or the people that purport to be a part of an organised religion that are bad actors, like the cover-ups of the Catholic Church. That's been such a stain on Christianity. But you can't then say that Christianity is the issue because of a group of people who purported to be Christian who are acting not Christian. It's like, the difficulty is that with Islam they have jihadi, which means that they can kill in the name of Allah, so that can be twisted. And then obviously Christianity is more forgiving, so it doesn't have that element. As I say, I don't know enough about Judaism to really talk about it, but if there was no bigotry, there was no bias, people followed Islam, people followed Christianity, then with being good actors, being good people, being wholesome and good, like good in the in the sense of level-headed, moral, noble. There wouldn't be a problem. There won't be any problems. My mind, honestly, God really instills this sort of depth of thinking. I think maybe just because I've seen that, and this is something that I've been thinking recently about putting myself out there more online. I think a lot of people, because I've got a lot of cool friends and a lot of them don't post on social media, they don't share their views, they don't, and I was crippled by oh, what are other good people going to think of me? Like on my Instagram I'm very pleased with the progress of my Instagram because I want to be able to use it for having a platform for my boxing and selling tickets and things like that. And yeah, for a long time I wanted to post, I wanted to be genuine, I wanted to be authentic, I wanted to post, and I didn't do it. And I always had this sense of like I would write stuff and I would do a long post and I would post and I would delete it because I was like, oh, what are people going to think? And then when I went through the biggest challenges of my life, I realised that even the people closest to you are not going to be there for you in the final analysis. And I realised that none of these people that I'm worrying about what they think are going to be there for me when it really matters. So who cares what they think? But not like who cares what they think. I don't give a shit, because the people that say that I don't give a shit, they are the ones that give a shit. Because if you didn't give a shit, you just wouldn't say it. But I'm trying to illustrate a point. So, yeah. Do I feel less stressed now? Not yet. Feel alone. Feel scared. I was arrested like 6 times for lies. And then the one time where I did lose my temper because I poked somebody on the shoulder, literally a prod like that on the shoulder, because I did that, and I was basically framed, thrown under the bus by someone who was supposed to not do that kind of thing. Because I complained to the police so much, I made a rod for my own back with them because I really got that. I was so naive. That they took the most minor thing and blew it out of proportion because they don't like me. I caused them problems. I didn't cause them problems. You caused yourself problems. I was just the catalyst for it. You purposely fucked me. I can't speak out about it. Because they'll just find another way to fuck me. Which is so good. I'm so happy. And like I feel so much gratitude to the Lord and the Bible and God and whatever you want to call it. Because like I literally don't do a thing. Like if I was like in my 20s and I was still running about being a naughty boy a bit, I'd be like really, really scared. I'd be like, because if I gave them any reason, they would really turn the screw on me. But I don't do anything. I walk the dogs, try and be a good person, try and take care of my kid to the best of my ability. I don't lie. I don't, stick to the 10 commandments. It's God saved me in that regard, because they don't have anything, because there isn't anything. So that's good. That's one thing I can be sort of more relaxed about, and I feel better having said that. I feel like I've relaxed myself a bit, because I do want to speak out about it, but at the same time, like, you don't, unless you've had dealings with them, you don't see what it's actually like in there. yeah, yeah, it was like I was in this mad situation where I was getting lied about, I kept getting arrested, and they kept sending the heavies in to get me, trying to scare me, trying to wind me up, and I just wouldn't bite. To the point where I had this insane, oh man, that day when they came and arrested me, the biggest panic attack, and they said I was faking, and I was like convulsing. I've got the video of that one. I've never watched it back because obviously I know what happened, but I can guarantee you that they didn't send me the video of the person that stood with me the whole time. And I guarantee that they split up. One guy stayed with me, and the other guy went walking around the house to get away when I was having this huge panic attack. I was convulsing. I was like trying to calm myself down. Like, one thing I learned in therapy is if you're having a panic attack, focus on what's around you. And like, say the car has a black wheel, it's got a Toyota badge. It's like that kind of thing. Yeah, the system. They like I had no one to call on. No one to call on, and I felt so abused, and there's nothing I could do about it. No one to call for help, and even the people that I'm supposed to be able to call were the ones that were making the problems. Yeah, it was mad situation. But made me who I am, I guess. But at the same time, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I really wouldn't. Yeah. Yeah, I feel quite sad now. I was going to say little crystals, not very little. Healing crystals, I find that very helpful. And I felt sense of it. I'm very sensitive. Yeah, I can feel like energies, and I can feel when Palo Santo clears the energy. I can feel when incense lifts the energy around me. I can feel if a crystal is clean. I can feel the effect of it, which is not something I ever thought I would ever find myself in a situation. I always thought it was like hippie woo woo bullshit, but if I can feel it, I can't really. My back's starting to hurt. I'm supposed to have back surgery, but I've got no one to look after the dogs. Yeah, I feel sad now. It's supposed to make me feel better, this. It hasn't today. Cool video, Adam. What can I say that I'm grateful for? If you're feeling grateful, you can't feel anything else. I'm grateful for having a very handsome, very charismatic, very silly, very charming young boy who loves me. Not more than the dogs. He didn't say hi to me yesterday. He just ran straight to the dog. Fucker. Huh. Funny. Love him so much. Love all three of them so much. Dogs are funny. If you've never had a dog, get one. They'll make you grow. They're spirit guides. I think they think we're stupid. I think they've got more senses than we have. I think the humans have 5 uh, senses to download the information in and around us. Like a dog whistle is a good example. Like, you know it's there, but you can't hear it. I think there's more stuff like a dog whistle, and I think that dogs have more access to it, and I think that they think we're stupid. And I think they're closer to source energy. I think they're closer to God, and I think women are as well. I think women and dogs and children are very, very important, and men should protect them because they're the most important ones. Because the majority of men, I'm an empath, so I without putting a label on myself, I feel emotion. I understand it. I'm more felt. The majority of men don't, and I think that's why we're here. I think that's why men are the protectors, because we protect the things that are important, which is women and children and dogs. And I think women are much more important than this system we find ourselves in gives them due credit, but not in a sense of like you have to turn into abusive men. You don't get rid of a toxic patriarchy by replacing it for a toxic matriarchy. That's definitely not progress. It's by allowing natural balance. There's been a huge push in the media in the West, especially in the UK, for dominant women to replace dominant men, basically. That's not right. It's not the thing. It's not how you get progress. You get progress by allowing natural balance and allowing everyone to fulfill their natural roles. What we're here for, what we were created for, why we're here. We're just so manipulated in the media. Women are so important, but not in the way that the media is purporting at the moment. Fucking hell. Women, children, and dogs, and old people are closer to God. They're closer to source energy. And that's why men should protect them, because they're important in that sense. There's a massive emotional reaction because of, well, at the moment primarily because of a huge media push towards it, and I think that's probably to prevent an uprising, because it feels like there's one coming. And yeah, the UK government is just silencing anyone that speaks out about anything, because they're losing control of the situation. Maybe because it's been purposely orchestrated, and they want to make us the new Australia from back in the day, where we just take all of the bad actors in from everywhere, the Far East or whatever, and then it's like we're having like a brain drain at the moment in the UK, where all the successful people are moving over to like Dubai and stuff, and then they were sort of being replaced by, and I don't necessarily think all the immigrants that are coming in are bad people, but I might suggest that if they were in their own countries and they were doing well, then they probably wouldn't move. So maybe if it would be the same anywhere, wouldn't it? You take the bad actors out. I think they're just trying. I think there's like a rearranging of populations, maybe. I don't know. They don't have all the answers. I sat on a plane once, and there was a young lad in front of me and a sort of older guy next to me, and for 2 hours the kid in front was questioning me, and I was telling him about, life and the things that I've worked on and self-development and books that I've read that might be helpful for him, and at the end of I spent 2 hours, just 2 hours, talking to him about all these things that I've learned. Because I went into the self-development rabbit hole. It was so intense for like 4 or 5 years. And at the end, I didn't even really realise the guy next to me was listening. And at the end, he gave me a tap on the leg and he went, "That was good, that, mate. You should be a motivational speaker." And I just thought, someone listened. Someone listened to me. They gave me the opportunity. They gave me the time to listen. And they found it very, very inspiring and helpful. And I don't know, I think part of the reason why I speak on YouTube is in the hope that eventually boxing or whatever it is that I find myself finding a platform in, I'll be able to have more people to actually listen. Because I feel like I've got my priorities in the right order. And I work very hard on myself. Too hard, probably, in a sense, because I did it because of I suppose, lack of self-esteem. I did it because I felt that I was a problem, because that was the narrative that was spun about me, and I ended up believing it. So I was like, right, if I'm the problem, then I'm going to fix it. So I went down the rabbit hole, like, intensely. Philosophy, psychology, wellness, self-development, growth, that kind of stuff. And yeah, I ended up, I went looking for answers, and I think I found some of them. But there's no one. It feels like there's no one that'll listen. Yeah, because in this society, you've got to be a false idol to get people to listen to you. So you've got to be a celebrity to get a platform, and then I don't know if I don't know which ones use it for good. Really, I don't know. I know that I'll have a log now of trying to speak some truth as I see it, that my son will be able to look back on, which is cool. Because I say it won't be suicide, but if anything happens to me, then he's got my voice, he's got a feeling of me, he's got, things like that, which is really nice. And I really appreciate God giving me that idea and those thoughts, because that's actually made me feel really nice. And maybe I'll do more of it again. Maybe shorter videos. The dogs are waiting for me. Yeah, I guess I do it when I feel lonely as well. A number of times, I don't know, I've said on here, it's like, it's quite sad, really, talking to a camera in my car. But like, there's no point in me getting another therapist, because they can't teach me anything. What we're going to I'm just going to sit there and tell them my problems, which they can't help with, and don't. I've worked very hard on the tools. I'm not saying I've got all the answers, but I've worked hard on my tools to. There's nothing that they can say. Oh yeah, that's bad. That's bad. Oh yeah, that's challenging. Oh yeah, that's not very nice. Yeah. Maybe I could find another one. They're expensive as well. Although I do find myself feeling more in abundant energy with regards to entrepreneurship and money. I do feel like I'm attracting it in. Yeah, we're creators. We can create. You know, one thing that I thought of the other day, which I thought would be really cool, is to be James Bond. I remember once when I was at a party in Ibiza. This is quite a good little story. I remember once when I was at a party in Ibiza and we were doing, obviously, we were doing party drugs and stuff. And I always found I didn't really like ketamine. Ketamine is like that horse tranquilizer thing, but it's a hallucinogenic that helps you to access more spiritual consciousness. So it's misused in parties a lot, and I never did very much of it because I've always found myself very sensitive to it. But I'd do a little bit, and I'd always just be really weird. It was really funny. Although not condoning it necessarily, but I'd always go around and be really weird. I remember me and my mate Johnny were in a party once. We were in this party and we didn't know anyone in Leeds, and we were going around and going, Alice Nakanagas, they're talking like that to people, and they're like, oh man, you were arresting me out, you'd be really weird. We were Alice Nakanagas, just going around talking this, which sounds really silly, but in the context of being a very cool, sort of house Ibiza vibes party, they ended up kicking everybody out when it got to a certain time, like I don't know what time in the morning, like 9 o'clock or whatever. They'd always kick people out, and then they'd keep like the crew in, and they said everyone's got to go, but you guys can stay. And we really bonded over that. It was a really fun night. But that wasn't what I was going to say. What I was going to say is, I would go around being weird because it was just funny. And there was one time when we were in Ibiza in San Antonio, and the people were doing it, and I'd done a little bit. And I was going around to people that I didn't know. Okay, excuse me. I just need to say something. Don't tell anyone, but I'm actually James Bond, 007. Just be like, who's this guy? But anyway, how I was going to get onto this was that when I said that, I didn't realise that I was putting that out into the universe. I said, I'm James Bond. And that putting that out into the universe, you then get it back. So like when I was manifesting a lot, I would say, I am the oldest person to sign the first professional rugby contract. I am the oldest person playing the NFL. I am the world. I'd say all these manifestations that I am. You say I am the thing, and then the thing comes to you. And with regards to the rugby thing, I ended up choosing family over that. But putting things out there, and I think I may have accidentally, unknowingly, put the James Bond thing out there. So if I ever do become James Bond, you can always track it back to a party where I was doing a little bit of ketamine. I'm going around trying to weird people out by telling them that I was James Bond. So yeah, while I don't necessarily condone the use of party drugs, it was escapism and a form of healing, and I never did too much of it. So that's the one thing that I ever did, very, very did in moderation. I never overstepped the mark with that one. I can't say the same for some of the others, but yeah, as I say, I was trying to find solutions to problems, that mental, emotional, spiritual problems that had been sort of thrust upon me at a younger age, and that was my way of dealing with it. But yeah, I think I may have accidentally put that out into the universe. So if I ever do become James Bond, because I really want to wear a suit, I want to wear a suit all the time, most of the time. I like wearing a suit, but like it's hard to factor it in. How do you go walking the dogs when it's raining in a tan suit? So yeah, just a little funny story at the end there. If I ever do, when I become James Bond, you can track it back to this this YouTube video and be like, oh, that's how manifesting works. Oh, that's how this universe seems to work. Just say, I am the thing that you want, and then you embody it, and then it comes to you. But I just go, I did it to so many people. There must have been like, I don't know, 10, 15 people in this flat where we were living in Ibiza, where I was sleeping on a lilo. It was a good day if you got the sofa. And yeah, I just go, sorry mate, I just need to share something with you. I was acting at the time as well. It's funny. I was like, I don't mean to weird you out or anything, but I just wanted to share with you that I'm actually 007. I'm actually James Bond, and please don't tell anyone. Such a weirdo. Funny though. Well, at least I find it funny. The coke's kicked in then. Oh, and the ashwagandha. I had ashwagandha earlier before it came out. The ashwagandha mixed with the propenolone, whatever it's called. What's it called? Phenylene. Sorry, mate. I don't mean to weird you out or anything, but I should need to share that I'm actually James Bond. Yeah, I'm 007. So yeah, if and when I become James Bond, you can trace it back to that, and then you can figure out that that's how manifesting works, and that's how this all works, and then use that in your own life. I'm trying to think of any other weird stuff that I used to do. Oh, I used to get my willy out. I used to drop my pants and like dance. But that used to make people laugh a lot. But unfortunately, I now realise that that's linked to dealing with what happened when I was a kid. But I found God help me find such a creative way of dealing with that. The mangina. I used to do the non-handed mangina, where I whip my pants down, I'd flick it up, and I'd flick it back, and I'd catch it in between my legs and go, the non-handed mangina. Yeah, proper character. Never appreciated and never, ever, ever encouraged. I didn't even know I was good at rugby. I remember once I got picked I used to play for the year above occasionally. And I got picked they were doing a cup final. The year above me played in the cup final at Winnington Park, and I got picked for the team, and I was like, me? It was me, Ryan, and Marcus. And Marcus, I think both of them went on to get paid. I didn't even know I was good. I didn't, and I kind of but no one ever told me I was good. The only time someone told me that it was good was Craig Mackay, and it was at my friend's 21st birthday. 5 years after I'd stopped playing, and he said I was the most naturally gifted rugby player he'd ever seen. And that was the first time anyone said anything positive about it or me. I think I can count on two hands the amount of nice things people have said to me. And my love language, in a sense, is definitely hearing words of encouragement and using. But it's mad, isn't it? I was only ever given the opposite feedback. What other funny shit happened when we were at school? All around those times, I used to do loads of wild stuff. We did electric guitar contest, air guitar, where it was like a charity thing in school, and it was in the school hall. You know, like there's like a stage at the front, and then the contestants would go onto the stage. They would do that, or whatever they thought was appropriate, and then the crowd would choose a winner, and then obviously that would be the winner. And I had a pair of very, very tight Y fronts and a girl's netball skirt on, and a t-shirt that was too small for me, and I was dancing around, and then halfway through I whipped this skirt off, and all I've got is these tighty whities on with a t-shirt that kind of looks like a crop top, and I'm just bouncing around, and they loved it. The crowd loved it. They did. And then at the end, they obviously the people that were hosting were like, who do you think won? Like, vote for your winner. Is it number one? Is it number two? And the roar that I got Oh, I was so happy with myself. And then straight after that, I got put in isolation for a week. So, back down to earth, I guess. I even got put in isolation on my birthday, and the prick let me out for 5 minutes at the end on my birthday on a Friday. Yeah, what was that for? I got put in isolation for. I was on report and I was supposed to go and see this guy at lunchtime. But lunchtime was so exciting. I just wanted to go out and play. I wanted to go and play football and just have fun on the field because I was tied up in this prison of school where I was just getting constant negative feedback. Nobody wanted me there. There was a clique that ran the school and they all did their best to get me out, and they ultimately did in the end. And I was supposed to go meet this guy, and I kept forgetting. I think that's what it was. That feels like it. Maybe no. Maybe that was the air guitar. I got put in I think that was the only time I actually got put in isolation for a week. Was the air guitar thing, and then it ended up on the Friday. My birthday fell on the Friday, and they kept me in it anyway. They let me out with 5 minutes to go. Oh, thank you, sir. You know what the mad thing is? That guy, he was the one that overheard a conversation about weed and pulled in the nerdy kid that was in, and basically grilled this nerdy kid. This nerdy kid just gave him loads of information because he was really intimidated, probably quite scared. And we'd had weed in school because we were going to a party or something, and it had been in my bag for like half an hour during the lesson, and he basically ended up collaring three of us, taking us in for like one-on-one questioning. Where I didn't give anything up. And the guy actually said he should be a politician because I gave him very long answers and no information. But yeah, the guy that overheard that but this was like 6 months prior. We'd had the weed in school like 6 months prior, and it was like no one found out or whatever. And I had it in my bag for like half an hour. And at this point, me and one of the other guys, one of my good friends, we turned it around. Like we started doing really well. And yeah, basically the guy that instigated that, who collared the kind of nerdy, intelligent guy and grilled him under probably quite intense, situation for that kid. His house ended up burning down after. He had a thatched roof and it ended up burning down. Calm, my baby. It's not funny. Scary. But yeah, loads of funny stories from school. I'm trying to think what else we did. The good thing that I found myself in, looking back in hindsight, as much as like I did struggle in that private school environment because it was so strict or whatever, when I was there, there isn't really any threat of violence ever. So like, I could just express myself and be funny and wild without there being any sort of any like threat of intimidation from students, if that makes sense. And that is one good bit of private school, but also one bit where it's like you can only wrap them up and cut them off for so long. But there is no threat of violence, and from my understanding when I went there's no threat of violence in a private school, which enabled me to be wild. I think that if I'd stayed in state education, I wouldn't have had that same level of safety blanket around me to just be silly all the time, or a lot of the time. So I am actually I'm very grateful for that, even though when I eventually got kicked out, because there was loads of shit that happened. Like I wrote "fuck" in massive letters on the back of something that should have been stuck in my art book, right? And then I submitted it and I hadn't stuck it down, so the teacher was never supposed to see it. He found it. He brought me in. He said, "Look, I've seen this. If it was a piece of the art, then it'd be fine. But obviously, it's not, and you can't do that. And I won't tell you one, but don't do it again." I was like, "Yeah, fine. Thanks for yeah, like not fucking me." Then as soon as I walked into the meeting for getting kicked out of school, what's the first thing I see on the table? Face Up. So they were just collating as much as they could to form a narrative, which is kind of where I get this sense of narrative building from, because it's happened to me so many times. which is also kind of why I think that I sort of express myself on here, because when I finally do get a platform, especially with the shit that was happening with the police, people were able to look back on it and be like, all right, well, then you can make your own mind up. So yeah, there was loads of shit that led up to me getting kicked out, and I'd really turned it around. They'd made me they made me, you know how you have houses like in Gryffindor, Slytherin, or whatever. They've made me the games captain, and I was really thriving. I was actually enjoying being on report. I enjoyed being on report more than being off it, because I was actually getting focused and I was doing all right. My grades were getting up. My behaviour was improving in terms of what they deemed to be good behaviour. But I was feeling more settled. I had a long-term girlfriend. My sport was fantastic. I was scoring goals. I was scoring tries. They were going to make me the cap. They were going to put the year 11 and year 12 team together, and they're going to make me the captain of the rugby team. And at that point, I was like, my dreams are coming true. I'm going to be a famous, successful rugby player. And I was like, at this point, I was like, I was starting to feel confident. I was starting to feel like I was getting good. I was making progress. I was like, oh shit, this is like, I'm turning it around here. They'd all written me off. I'm turning it around. And then, a week later, they booted me out. And I had recurring dreams. I had a recurring dream for 15 years of going back. I'd have it like 3 or 4 times a week. Recurring dream of going back to school, telling the teachers what I really thought of them, because so many of them threw me under the bus. And then I'd go back for sixth form, and then I'd leave again of my own accord. I can still picture the dream, walking around the science labs. But anyway, yeah. So school was fun. I was we just a couple of years prior, we'd finished second in England of the 4x100 metre relay in private schools. I was going to be captain of the rugby team. I was scoring all the goals in the football. Oh, I'd been picked for the first time in the school. The year 10s, 3 of the year 10s got picked to play in the sixth form second team, and I was one of them. So like everything was going so well. I'd really turned it around, and I think at that point that was the catalyst for my whole life, basically. Just being turned on its head. And obviously at that point I didn't have any knowledge of what happened to me as a kid, so yeah, it was sad, but it's made me who I am. But at the same time, it was very, very sad and very, very traumatic, and it really, really affected me, because it was the first time where I'd been properly thrown under the bus on purpose by a group of people that were supposed to have a duty of care. And yeah, threw a lot of people's life into turmoil. It wasn't just me. Yeah, it was a lot of people cried about that, because my cohort really, I felt really loved by my cohort, and because I never got that from anywhere else, it was really lovely. They even had a phrase after one of the girls, Amy Crowther. Hello, Amy Crowther. I wasn't there at this point, but apparently she said, "That's so Dow." They were talking about me or something I'd done, and she said, "That's so Dow." And they obviously all started laughing, and I think it was my friend Baz, who sadly passed away now, and Tessie. They ended up taking it, and they would just say it all the time. Yeah. So I feel like Baz is watching over me sometimes, and Abby. So a few of my friends died around. Yeah, it was mad. It was like kicked out of school, started smoking weed. One friend died. 2 more friends died. Both grandparents died. My best mate's dad died, and it was like, okay, I am 20 years old and this is far too much. My battery's about to die, and I've been doing this for a bloody hour now, and my dogs will be wondering where I am. So peace, love and light.